Ron did a great intro there and kind of set the table for what I'm going to talk about. So thanks to everyone for being here. Aeroseal is providing a pretty unique service for HVAC needs, both in the concept of sustainability and also energy efficiency and indoor air quality. So really, when you think about sustainability, very high level definition is just meeting our own needs without compromising future generations to meet theirs. What that translates for us is that we, through our process of fixing all the small and micro and leaks in your HVAC system, we let your system do more with the hardware you have. So we save energy, but we also allow you to reach the maximum heating or cooling performance on the extreme heat days with the hardware you have, or if you're planning a future improvement, by taking care of your ductwork system today, we let you prepare your building so this new hardware that's coming down the road in your capital plan, by fixing your ductwork, you're going to get the maximum performance out of that future system as well. One important thing that kind of plays into what other folks were saying, we're a service, so the lead times and logistics and supply chain issues with other building efficiency or building technologies, don't apply to us. So when you're looking at your capital budget and your energy goals and sustainability goals, doing something like the service we do is not beholden to any of those issues. So this is something that you can start on this quarter, this fiscal year, or this calendar year immediately. So that's kind of empowering when you look at meeting your goals or using up your resources in case you're at risk of losing them for next year. So just kind of keep that in mind. Aeroseal, what actually is it? So if you look at this little graphic here on the right, it's kind of like pretty simple. You've got the laptop, you've got this sort of silver box, and you've got this plastic tube, and that's leading up to the ductwork. So what we do is we inject a sealant, a proprietary sealant that we developed in coordination with Berkeley Labs and the Department of Energy to under pressure from the fan that we're blowing and injecting the sealant in an aerosol formats, which is what the name Aeroseal comes from. So we inject it into the HVAC system, a portion of it that we've blocked off, and under pressure, that aerosol sealant finds the little holes that exist in all of our buildings' ductworks, and it basically plugs them up, and it covers that hole in about 30 minutes to an hour of injection in a section of ductwork. You achieve 99% sealing in that section. So folks might ask, well, why do I need to do this system versus just having a team of guys go out and do this by hand? Well, if you could imagine where our ductworks are located, both heating and cooling and exhaust systems, I mean, that process is something you couldn't do manually throughout a building. So that's really where our innovation comes in. We let you eliminate the sort of human error, human factors in reaching the ductwork, sealing it, and then we also, through our process, you notice the laptop that's controlling that injection. We're going to give you real-time monitoring of our process. Our techs know when it's finished, and then we give you a performance report at the end of our project. Here's just a quick note about the sealant. We've got a lot of this info online. A big point to know about the sealing is that it's a very inert, very safe product. It's a vinyl acetate polymer. So it's used in very common household type materials. It has a great lifespan, 30 years. Almost no VOCs, and it's just very ultra low. There's no smell within an hour or two after the job is done. It's got some great standards, and we've got a data sheet on that. We'd love to send you. We have been around for about 10 years, and we have grown our business and our footprint across the country and really actually across the globe now with some great customers, both in the private and public sector. So just going to touch briefly on this, not so much about the brand names on the right, but any building that has HVAC systems or exhaust ductwork could be a candidate for our process. So kind of just that's a great, if you see a building type that is not listed, or if you have a building type that we don't mention here, give a quick call to us and we can kind of talk through that to see if it's applicable. But I'd say 90+% of commercial buildings could be good candidates for our process. So let's talk about the actual problem or the issue that we're solving. These are figures and statistics that we've compiled through the years from various government and DOE and third-party studies. If you are in the building industry or if you have consultants, you can ask them about duct leakage. And most folks will acknowledge that it's a major problem, but it's sort of a well-known secret, I called it, because it's often neglected because there's never been a good way to address it. These statistics here on the left are averages, and averages can be broadly applied to help give you an idea of what kind of energy savings is possible or what type of performance improvement is possible. So these are just some guidelines, but these are not our numbers. These are based on, well-known, like I said, third-party studies and projects. This study here is from 2009. So with the increase in energy costs since then, you could really double or triple this number safely to give you an estimate about just in the US, what type of money is being wasted and where duct leakage ranks in terms of other issues that we're all maybe a little more familiar with. The other recent development, which we're all addressing in our facilities, is increased air flow and air exchanges due to COVID-19 policies to mitigate, the effects of that. So really, we're asking more of our systems. We're trying to not only meet temperature and heating and cooling requirements, but really air exchanges per hour. So it's putting a much stringent load on the systems. But it's also really trying to do the intent of this, which is to increase the amount of fresh air in the spaces. But when we have duct leakage and we're not really accounting for that, we're both running the system more, but we may not be getting the results which we're trying to do to help mitigate the effects of contaminated air, let's say. So this is just going to show a couple of graphics of this concept of short circuiting. And that's really kind of a fancy word for basically saying leaky ducts, and the fresh air is getting lost in the plenum space, and the exhaust air is short circuiting it, and we're basically recirculating used air. So this is a well-sealed system, but when we have leaks, this little graphic just illustrates the fact that we're not getting those air exchanges like we're intending, yet we're paying the cost of running our systems longer and harder, if you will. Now, some buildings, some rooms and wings might have exhaust air only. Obviously, they're simpler systems, but the effect of leaks really just lets you, this graphic shows that you're not getting the old air out of the space. So these are all non-energy related issues with our HVAC system that Aeroseal can help mitigate. Here's just a quick dive into the actual process. Once we've collectively decided that the project makes sense and we've got the plan in place, our teams go out, We'll section off the building and we'll do a section of sealing and the ductwork at a time, and we'll step through over 2, 3, 4 days throughout the building, hooking up this hardware, injecting the sealant into the ductwork. Prior to that, we block off any natural openings, ventilation, some vent work, duct work, certain sensors that will tape off or cover. When our team fires up our equipment, we're actually measuring in real time the leakage. Then we start injecting the sealant, and in real time, you notice the before and after, say that's about 30-minute delay there. During those 30 minutes, we're constantly monitoring the increasing pressure and or the decreasing flow rate, and we can tell when we've achieved a good seal. And that's the type of performance report or M&V report that we're going to provide the facilities team or their partners at the utility or their sustainability team to show that we've actually completed the job and we've verified the energy savings and the existing leak rates. This is just a quick little sample of what that looks like. And as you can see here, this is on the left here. We give an estimate of what type of hole, if all these little leaks were aggregated into one big hole in this section. For this job, it was a 7-inch square hole, which is, if you think about it, nobody would walk past a big hole like that in their HVAC system and not fix it. But because those are spread out throughout the system, and there was never a good way to fix that, it was neglected. And I think this is a really powerful number to consider about what we're doing. Sorry, I misspoke. It was actually 124 square inch hole. So, approximately a 12 by 10 hole, and it was reduced 95%. So, a quick screening question to ask yourselves, like, is this something we should be looking at? We found that, the larger the building, obviously the bigger the impact we can have. Or if you have a lot of hours, a lot of runtime, 24/7, 6 days a week, 16, 18 hours a day. If you have large outside air requirements, if you have dedicated exhaust ducts, so typically in maybe multifamily, dorms, labs, and if you have non-exposed ductwork, and that's most commercial buildings have that, as their solution. This is the IMF building in DC. It's on Pennsylvania Avenue, a fairly new modern office building. But when we went out and audited and tested the building, we found a major opportunity. We helped them, generate over 100,000 in annual savings. This payback was really a no-brainer on that. And more importantly, for the building occupants, the folks far away from the air handling units were really only getting 50% of the design flow. So you can imagine in DC in the summer and the winter, those are going to create some uncomfortable environments. So we had a great energy story, but we also made the space much more comfortable and for the tenants and the occupants. This is a high school. It's in Clinton Prairie, Indiana. It's outside Frankfurt. This actually is a multi-campus type high school. It's a high school, junior high. It even has some elementary students in it. So the leakage was significant. Even though it was a relatively new school, the actual leakage was very high due to several regions. And Indiana has relatively low utility rates compared to some of the folks on the call, what they're experiencing. But because the leakage was so high and it was so big and there were lots of units, we were able to provide a really good payback in a building that's, theoretically unoccupied for 2 months out of the year. Our website's got a lot of case studies with these type of numbers. We show the before case, the after case, how much we sealed, how much CFM we saved, and what type of payback was experienced. So if you have, listened to this and you're thinking, okay, well, what does that actually mean for me? How does this work with Aeroseal? We have these steps in a process when we engage with a client. We'll get some plans, some basic BMS data, some equipment schedules, so the sizes of air handling units and chillers that you have. And we'll do a very sort of best or worst case scenario to give you some right and left bounds on what type of payback or performance you might see with our solution. If that seems reasonable, we'll bring a crew out and we'll actually do on-site an audit, a visual audit, but also we'll do testing of different sections of your ductwork and actually give you a real reading measurement of the HVAC performance and or the leakage. And what you do with that, we build that into an energy model that shows the potential savings. You can take that model and bring it to your utility team or your green team, and they can get an estimate of the rebate that your utility company would apply to that project. And then you can really make an objective determination if you want to go forward. So once you get those rebate dollars figured out and confirmed, and you decide it's a project and you want to implement it, well, the turnaround time for our crews is quite low. We work with you to find a window. We get out to the site, do the sealing, and then, like I said, in real time and right at the end of the project, we're giving you a measurement and verification report. Again, like a lot of the other speakers who talked about, the information on building operating hours, the design parameters, typical utility rates that you're paying, those are all the inputs that go into our energy model. We share this spreadsheet and calculations with you and your partners. So we're very transparent. We're really not trying to hide what we're doing. It's conceptually, it's a very simple process, but the numbers and the energy savings calculations get a little into the weeds, and we'd love to go into the weeds there with you with this and come to a kind of consensus on what this project could do for your both energy footprint and your building performance.
This is great stuff, Kevin.
Thanks, Ron. Our visual audit is kind of just exactly what it says. We're looking for holes. We're looking for the telltale signs of leakage. If you have spent any time in some facilities or with your building engineers, they'll know what those are. But we take the time to really catalog those. We verify assumptions that go into our model. We make sure that if it's a 10 horsepower motor, that it actually is, that it hadn't been upgraded or changed. So we spend a lot of time in your building giving you an audit report, and we do all that at our risk. So we're not charging you for those upfront services to get to the point of agreeing to do a seal project. We're taking some measurements of static pressures, again, looking for anything that could impact our job performance. Yes. It's just a good overall inspection of your facility. So again, quick recap here. What are we bringing to the table? I think one of the important things, we're measurable and quantifiable. We're doing calculations and energy estimates up front, but then at the end, we're verifying what we did. That sealant is, again, very low VOC. It's non-toxic. we're getting to places in your building that you could never get and never reach. Our sealant's rated for 30 years. We have 10-year warranties on our jobs that we perform. We'll work with your ESCO partners to build this into their contracts. If you're a public agency and you're doing an ESCO type project, we offer the guarantee through them to you. And again, we're getting to 90+% elimination of leakage in a project. So just a quick call to action, if you will, to wrap up. There's a pretty wide variety of folks on the call, so this may not be applicable to you specifically, but if you know someone on your team that might benefit, please, spread the message. But if it is, we're talking to you and you want to go further, we'd love to review the energy model in depth with you or your energy team. Maybe we do a job site visit and look, bring you, if we're doing a seal in your area, we'd love to just kind of bring you as we're setting up or doing the sealing so you can really see the process and really get comfortable with it. Like I said, we'll do that feasibility study, and if it makes sense, we'll go on site and do the audit and do the testing of your building. And again, if there's folks here who are, maybe, really serious about wanting to test or pilot this project, Aeroseal is committed to this for the long term, and we are always looking for pilot projects in your region or with you as an organization, and we'd love to talk to you about that. Especially if it's a public or nonprofit type building, and because we're really committed to being a good partner and here for the long term with you all. So this just a little bit about me. I'm our business development manager for the Northwest. We've got a team of folks spread throughout the country. You can contact me here, phone or email, and if you have more questions, I'll get you routed to the right contact in your area. So with that, I'm going to pause here and we'll check in with Ron to see if there's any questions.